The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazell was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified. UFO Classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Happy Fantopia Friday, everyone. This is Erica Lukes, and as always, I am happy to be here. I hope you've had as exciting of a week as I have. I'm always doing something fun, meeting new people, having incredible conversations with some amazing researchers, and I feel truly blessed to have the experiences I do. I am really happy to be a part of the lovely lady lineup we have here on KCOR. We've got Tina Marie and then Solaris Blue Raven coming up after my show. Three great ladies on one Friday night. I'm just, I say this every week. Of course, I'd like to lump myself in there with the other two great ladies, but that's the way it rolls. So I have an exciting show for you tonight. I have been waiting for my guest to have an opportunity in his schedule to come on. There are a few investigators that I keep my eye on in the field of ufology, and especially with MUFON, with all my investigations there. Norm Gagnon he's been somebody I've always watched. Not only is he very cool, fun, funny, he is a very established researcher, not only in researching the UFO phenomena, but also the paranormal aspect of things, which is we're going to be discussing tonight, I believe, and I believe Norm might too, think that, the boundaries are a bit blurry with regards to both of these things. Norm has conducted investigations of preternatural cases and ghost hunting since 1986, which just doesn't even seem right because I think he must have been like 10 years old back then. But he joined MUFON in 2004 and became a field investigator. He was the first person to be appointed to the MUFON STAR team, the strike team for area research, way back in 2008. He was appointed as a special agent for the STAR Team Impact Project through Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies. He's been featured on the Discovery Channel miniseries UFOs Over Earth. He was a lead investigator in the Fayetteville incident. Very, very cool case. He makes presentations frequently, and he was a brilliant writer, so it's always fun to see his work in the MUFON Journal. Norm, I'm grateful that you're here tonight. This is so cool.
Erica, thank you for having me on the show. This is great. I was looking forward to share stories with you and the viewers tonight. So,
we'll be so excited. I think the thing that I really like about you is you're such a diligent researcher. And for all of my listeners and for myself, it's important to learn from people like yourself so we can make our investigations better, just even when we're looking online at some of these cases or videos, that we can make a better determination on whether it's a hoax, whether it's something really profound and all of this stuff. So we're excited to learn from you tonight.
And like I said, glad to be an assistance, and we'll see what go. It's just to let you know, it's these days with all that CGI and special effects going on YouTube, it's getting really hard to decipher with all these fake videos, and we're talking about UFOs and things. So we really field investigators really have to be sharp and on their toes. And it's even for me, sometimes I see footage that it's just like shake my head. I just don't what it is. If it's a
And that it makes it so hard. But do you, I mean, for me, I have found that when I'm investigating.
Well, often enough, which it drives me crazy, so when there is a photograph of something and it's always blurry or hidden behind bushes, and it says, "Here, there's proof. There's Bigfoot," and I said, "Okay, well, what I see is a blurry image behind foliage and trees, so I cannot say it's fake or real." And that's one of my goals as a field investigator, to contact the witness, trying to get more photographs, and hopefully set up a on-site investigation and talk to the person and see if there's any trace evidence or prints or whatnot. So being an armchair investigator is not my idea of being a good researcher, in my view.
And there's so many out there. It's amazing. You think we would have had the UFO enigma solved a couple decades ago.
That's true. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I know it's interesting. For me, when I started really, really investigating cases, I found that a majority of the people that actually took the time to go through the MUFON form and to call back and things, I felt that they were genuine cases. Very rarely did we have a hoax. How did that play out for you?
I have to agree with you. I would say we're just talking about MUFON, I've investigated around 125 cases, and I would say about 80% of it are categorized under unknown, which means to me, I really don't know what it was. It's unidentified flying object or phenomenon. So I'm not going to say, hey, it's from Mars or Venus. I don't know what it is. And usually these anomalies defies all principles of modern physics. And they go in, they come out and disappear in the blink of an eye. So that, I know we don't have that yet. And but most of the folks, I would say, like I said, 80% of the cases that they truly believe that what they saw, they cannot explain, and they say, hey, it came through a cloud, shined some lights, a beam, disappeared, or it came through the bedroom, through the door, through the ceiling, it made contact, and it disappeared in a blink of an eye. So those, we're talking about witnesses or police officers, ex-military. One case I worked on a few years ago, there were Secret Service guys that witnessed this craziest thing that was flying around. We're talking about just a few miles away from Dulles Airport in Virginia.
Oh my gosh.
So, but it's pretty brave of them to come forward and share these. But of course, I'm not going to give up any names because they may not keep their jobs too long. They'll be flipping burgers and serving French fries. But yes, go ahead.
No, that is really. I don't think people realize what a precarious situation, if you're an airline pilot or if you're in the military or law enforcement, what a precarious situation that puts you in if you have the courage to file a report.
It's, the organization, FAA, and even within the field of the pilots, they don't make it too easy, the supervisors. They're saying, look, what you saw was something strange, but they would probably tell them, hey, don't share. You're representing United Airlines or some other form of agency that they don't want to be embarrassed by it, and they don't want the news media to show up in the front door or the airport and say, hey, can you tell us more about it? And especially the media, I haven't seen these days when they interview, but most news anchors would somehow tongue-in-cheek would ridicule the people that actually saw something or captured something on video or iPhone. So, and it's so predictable, and it's embarrassing for them. And I don't blame them to keep quiet, but I do have a couple of great cases that, and unfortunately, they submit a case that something that occurred, it could be a decade ago, it could be back in the 1970s, that they finally, either they retired and say, hey, I'm willing to share something before I pass, you know. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of interesting cases like that as well that I investigated.
Wow. And yeah. I have too, and it's amazing to me. These people are so deeply impacted by the fact that they haven't even, in a lot of cases, haven't even been able to tell their spouse of what they experienced. And it's heartbreaking. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially the cases that involve abductions and all. And some people went through severe trauma. And we have a special group within MUFON and other organizations that implants, and those are actually some of those implants are extracted and incised and cut out and measured, and even some radio frequency and detectors detect some type of radio waves and all. So that is pretty traumatized a lot of people, and a lot of people, especially in the United States, have been had these type of visitation in the middle of the night. So and it's pretty awful, and we're still learning that why are they doing it.
And you know, it's interesting because the abduction stuff, I mean, that is, even in, you know, when you're researching UFOs, I mean, I found that within different organizations, the abduction experiencer stuff is still almost a taboo, which is shocking to me because it shouldn't be, you know?
Yeah. But I do agree with you. It's very hard for someone going through that to share. We do have a few people out there that did share their close encounters, and which helps us a lot within the ufology community and all. And those are type of cases that a lot of people like to research, gather information, and there's some help out there. There are a lot of people that are willing to help the folks that went through that type of encounter.
There are, and I think that it's, you know, and I was fortunate enough to work on the experiencer research team with Kathleen Martin and Craig Lang, and it was such a wonderful experience. And for me, it's always it's a really heartbreaking thing. It's bad enough to have a UFO sighting because you're ostracized and it's hard to talk about, but then you throw in the fact that you're being taken, you know, a lot of times against your will in the middle of the night, and you have no understanding for what's going on. It's you have no one to talk to, and you think you're losing your mind. It is a really hard situation, and I hope that we can learn more about it, and I hope we can kind of break down some of these walls or belief systems so people can feel comfortable talking about it.
I agree. Just as one case that pops in my mind, it just occurred. Well, the case I took a few weeks ago, a gentleman at that time was stationed at a local Marine base. He was a PFC, and that was back in 1974. And he came back from R&R, or they call it Liberty, and he walked through the base, saluted the sergeant at arms or the guard, and this base is pretty large. He walked for about a mile, and he was a dirt road that cuts through a forest. And about maybe another 15 minutes ago, he was going towards the barracks so he could get ready for
the day's work, and all of a sudden he was bathed in a bright, glowing neon green light from above. And he was looking on the ground. Everything was green. His skin was green through the reflection of the light, so he looked straight up. And he saw pretty much a classic flying saucer, if you will. And at the base of this craft, it had multiple, almost like LED lights. And he described it as bubble wrap, glowing green. And he looked up and is almost blinded by it. And then next thing you know, everything faded in his mind. Everything went to black. And next thing you know, it's daylight. And he was walking towards the barracks. And he's like, it's just like waking up from a dream. And he did not know how he got there and why is it in daylight already. But obviously he had some missing time. And after all these years, he contacted us, and I was fortunate enough to give him the case to work on. And I gave him a call, and he currently resides in Michigan, and he answered the phone, and I could hear his nervousness, breathing, the breath on the phone, and he was like really, really nervous. I said, go ahead, take your time, just share your incident with me. And I took some notes, and he said that he had headaches, severe headaches, since the encounter. And he felt depressed. He couldn't tell his wife, like we mentioned before. And he said that he actually went to the hospital to have his head scanned. And the doctor actually detected something between his hemisphere. I think it's right in the middle of his brain, a real dark spot. And that made him feel a little bit better, but the pain was still there, and he refused to do anything about it. I mean, go under the knife and have your head drilled and cut open just to find something, and then that's very. I'm not a doctor, but I'm sure it's very, very serious surgery.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And he decided just to leave it there and deal with it. And I was asking, slowly, a couple more questions, and he said what he was doing at the base, he still didn't want to share because he was confidential, and which I respect that, because I'm not out there to make people reveal secrets or anything like that. But he finally, between my questioning, he stopped answering it, and I could hear him breathe, and he felt like he was uncomfortable. So I said, okay, let's go ahead and let's end this. And I thanked him to share this encounter. And I believe I did submit an article on, I think it was last month or the month before, on the MUFON journal about that. But that's one gentleman that decided to be brave and come through and tell us these things. And those are the type of the cases that are the most interesting and thought cases that investigators love to investigate, trying to delve into getting more information. But a lot of times that UFOs do land, they may leave trace behind, foliage, burn, soil samples, but all of that occurs like decades ago, and unfortunately we can't go and investigate. So, but at least we have a good story. And he was like I said, a military, right in the middle of military base this thing occurred. So I'm sure that if there was any other witnesses during that time, they're not going to share that.
Right.
So.
And I think it's hard too. Sometimes you don't know where to go to share this information. I mean, when I had my series of orange orb sightings over Utah, I didn't know where to go. I immediately went to the FAA website, which is kind of comical now. And of course, Bigelow Aerospace was on there, and then New Fork. But it was really challenging to find a place where you could feel safe to talk about stuff like that. So I can only imagine how he would feel, or others that were in his, around that at that time. That's a great case. Yeah,
every once in a while, I like to wear my polo shirt with the MUFON logo on the chest, and I wore it today. And I was walking down the hall, and I work with a defense agency. I'm not going to mention the name, but a lot of people say, that's an interesting shirt. What does MUFON stand for? So a lot of people don't know about MUFON, except for people who watches the show like the Hangar One and all of that. But still, we need to make a little bit of noise out there, I guess. But once in a while, I think when people they see something, they do type UFO investigation or something within Google, often enough, MUFON shows up, or the National Aviation Reporting Center on Anomalous Phenomenon.
Yes.
They pops up as well. And so it's good. Well, it's not good to be part of these encounters, but it's good that at least we're one of the top folks that people would give us a call or fill out a form and go from there.
Right. And I think that's incredibly important to have that data. We need data. And I think that at some point in time, I hope that we can all maybe work together with different organizations to share the data and analyze it, and then really make some profound discoveries. But there's just so much here. And one of my goals has always been to make people feel comfortable in talking about this, because this isn't a fringy thing. This is factual. This is happening. And we need to have the mindset that, okay, what are we going to do to research it and do amazing things and make new discoveries? That's all it is. So I love it. It's fabulous. But I have so much more I want to talk to you about. We're getting ready to go to our first break. But I just want to say I'm having a great time tonight. I knew I would. I am Erica Lukes. You can find me on UFO Classified on Facebook or my website at ufoclassified.com. We are going to be back, and the best is yet to come. So make sure you get in the chat room, ask questions in caps, and then call in, and we will talk to you on the other side of the break.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified
with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Where'd that shot come from?
Alpha 3 to Eagle 1. We've got company.
From Tay Publishing, codename Eagle Force, the saga begins.
I see them, Alpha 3. All units stay low and let them come.
From the eyes of a special ops officer, Joe Michael Riggy brings to life this amazing story of survival, the unknown and the unexpected.
Here they come. Hold your fire. Hold. Now.
Codename Eagle Force at TayPublishing.com.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
What if maintaining a healthy weight was as simple as drinking a cup of coffee? With Valentis coffee, it's that easy. Harvested from the world's most pristine coffee farms and packed with the purest ingredients on earth, Valentis takes losing weight to a completely new level. At Valentis, we believe everyone deserves a chance to be healthy and fit. It's pure, natural, healthy, and delicious. Click the Valentis Healthiest Coffee banner on the KCOR Digital Radio Network website and take the Weight Loss Guarantee Challenge. Valentis Coffee, simply the world's healthiest coffee.
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light. into hyperspace. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, for Hyperspace, the one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace, hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Want to take a ride?
If ever a breed was affectionate to a fault, it's the Golden Retriever. They're people dogs, pure and simple. And the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada needs your help. If you would like to volunteer, foster, adopt, or donate, go to the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada's website at grrsn.org. That's grrsn.org. Or call 598-GOLD. That's 598-GOLD.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back, everybody, and happy Friday to you. I'm Erica Lukes. This is UFO Classified on KCOR Digital Network, only the best station on the planet. I am very thankful for my fabulous producer, Tina Marie, who is up next on Restricted Airspace. So, grab a martini, get your pajamas on, get ready for a fabulous night of ladies talking about some pretty important and profound subjects. My guest tonight is somebody that I've been trying to get on my show for a long time, and I've always held him in very high esteem. Norm he's an investigator that has an open mind and does a lot of diligent work and has been in the field since 1986 when he became a ghost hunter. He became involved with MUFON in 2004 and was on the MUFON Star team. And, we're going to talk about Bigelow here coming up in a little bit. But Norm, thanks and welcome back.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Yes, and I know that we have so much to talk about, but we were kind of talking, on the break about the orange orb things, which you've got some great cases with regards to the orbs, but then also just some of the paranormal aspects and how do we tell the difference. And I would really like to lay a foundation out for my listeners tonight with regards to how you got involved and what made you want to research the paranormal aspect of things.
Oh my goodness. Let's go back to one of my first paranormal incident that probably occurred. Now, we're talking about way back in 1972 when I was a teenager. I was, at the time, I was with my cousin in Canada, where he lives in a small village called Saint-Côme in the province of Quebec, Canada. And every once in a while we get together for a summer vacation. Well, I stay at his farm for a few weeks. So one day we decided to ride our bikes on the dirt road for a few miles on the road. It was a beautiful sunny day, blue skies. And we rode all the way to the lake, threw some rocks, and then came back. And as we came close to his house, I slowed down, and on top of one of the telephone poles, there was like a fire. And I didn't know, it looked like it was on fire. And you're talking about maybe 3 to 4 seconds. I told my cousin, I pointed up to the top of the pole. I said, what is that? And right after I said that, it was an explosion. We were knocked off our bikes, fell down on the ground. I said, what was that? Lightning strike? I said, well, how can it be lightning strike? It's not raining. There's no clouds. And we thought maybe it was a transformer that exploded, and we decided to go walk near it. There was no smoke, no fire, no wood chips or anything like that. So, and it just blew my mind. So what caused that? And I told my uncle and aunt, and they said, who knows what that was. So, and I was starting to get fascinated in these strange occurrences that are sense. And of course, there was a lot of ghost stories that floated around with as we were kids, and abandoned warehouses and whatnot. So I think way back then, I was what they call an urban explorer. We were doing all sorts of, but we didn't know what an urban explorer was, but we were doing it. And going into old abandoned houses and looking around with a flashlight. So that was pretty awesome when we were young. But through the years, when I moved to this country in Maryland back in the mid-'70s, I heard a lot of people talking about strange visitation in the middle of the night. So I was really, really into reading books about it, magazines. There were not too many magazines out there on the subject of UFOs and ghosts, but there were enough to keep the juices flowing. And this is how I really became very interested in the paranormal.
You know, it's such a fascinating subject, and I think all of us. I mean, I've had an interest my whole life as well. And I remember picking up a book when I was almost, I was 6 years old in the school library, and it was just I couldn't put it down. And then it just, you go throughout your life, and then you have these interesting experiences, and you just, I don't know, it's a trip. I love it.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, what other experiences did you have as you were, getting into your late teens, 20s?
Well, I've got one that may relate to paranormal, or maybe leaning towards supernatural. Now, this involves, well, I'm not going to give you the ending. This was just a few years ago, back again in 2006. I was walking home right after work, and this is in Springfield, Virginia. And I live pretty close to my work, so I did walk every once in a while. And I was getting close to, there's a bridge. I guess I can go ahead and give you the name of the street. It was Back Lake Road in Springfield, Virginia. And there was a bridge there that it went over the railroad tracks. And I decided, I'm going to go up. And the railing on this bridge was very, very low, all the way to my belt. So it's kind of scary if you're afraid of heights. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a drop. I would have at least a good 80 feet. And while I was walking on top of the bridge, there was a man on top of cardboard laying down. It's almost like he was in a praying prayer. I didn't know if he was Islam or doing his thing, but I felt sorry for him, but it didn't feel right. So I kind of walked around, and I had to go on the street in the incoming traffic and around because maybe he was ill. And all of a sudden he turns around, looks at me, and his eyes were like gray, almost like a light gray eyes, unshaven face, and face is all dirty, and he growled at me. So I said, okay. So I decided to who knows? He could have been on drugs. But I did feel sorry for him, but I decided the best thing is just leave him alone and double my pace and walk further up. And when I was up and down on the other side, I felt like I should turn around and look. I said, something, I have to turn around. While I turned around, he was charging. He was running full speed, charging, ready to tackle me.
Oh, my God.
And everything was in slow motion. And I looked down from the 80-foot drop. I says, okay, now if he tackles me, I'm going to flip over this railing and fall to my death. If I run across, incoming traffic. So, and then I turn around. I mean, it was in slow motion. And our eyes met. And all of a sudden, he stops, looking straight in my eyes. And then he looks up over my shoulder. His eyes became round, mouth opened, screamed, and he was terrified. He turned around and ran back. And then I kind of looked behind me. I didn't see anything. So, dare I say, it could have been an angelic encounter, an angel perhaps protecting me, because there was a car, but there was also a yellow DHL courier van that saw the whole thing. However, he did not see what was behind me. That scared the heebie-jeebies out of that guy. And I felt that almost my hair raising on my arm. And I knew there was something behind me. But I wasn't threatened by that. I was threatened by the guy ready to tackle me down. So, and then that's pretty much it. And then I walked right around the corner to a convenient shop to get a glass, to get some water. And the DHL courier jumped out of the truck. He goes, "What was that? Man, this guy saw something. He must have saw a ghost." And I said, "Yeah, he may have." And that was, I would say, I filed that under supernatural.
Wow. What if that is terrifying?
It was terrifying, but peaceful also. The result of what occurred during that, I felt protected. And it's a good thing, especially when I come that type of, dare I say, business I'm in. You need a little, every once in a while, a supernatural protection, if you will.
You know, you do, and I think this is, it's interesting because through my life, I've had so many, just interesting, living in a haunted house, different paranormal experiences, and I think that when you're younger, you don't have an appreciation for what you get yourself into. And it's like, oh, let's invite your friends over and play with the Ouija board and mess around and go ghost hunting. And there are some really gravely significant implications for doing this. And people don't, I guess because it doesn't happen immediately or it's not really tangible, people don't understand what they can get themselves into. And I know you've had some interesting experiences on your investigations too, where you've felt in peril.
There was, I'll give you more detail. There was a team that they call me every once in a while to join them as a consultant. And there's in Prince William County in Virginia, there's a old house that was built in 1790. It was converted into a winery in this place called LaGrange, which is French, Lagrange. And they invite me. We go investigate. Now, when you investigate a place that's very active, it is suggested that you have to go more than one time. You cannot just go in and do your EVPs and then say, okay, this place is haunted, and then go somewhere else and then leave the people. It takes multiple visitation, multiple research in one place, especially when it's very active or haunted. Anyway, going back to this old historic house. This place, very, very active. Now, no one seen any apparitions or full body ghostly entities. However, we heard children laughing, footsteps. I'll give you an example. There's multiple levels in a basement. They have they converted the basement. They put concrete on the ground there, all these metallic chairs, some like patio chairs, and we set up two digital recorders in the basement. And that, having done that, we go to the second floor and we wait. And then usually about two hours later, we go down and you listen to the recordings, and literally we could hear the table and the chair scraping on the ground. And we duplicated that, and it was later the chairs were scraping. Something was moving, and this place was shut down in the middle of the night in the middle of nowhere. We only had our team, and the doors were locked. So something did move the chairs. And then in one other case, same building, we were in a basement. They would play with us. They're almost like teasing our team. We're in the basement, and almost like 11 o'clock, we heard a door that sounded like a door opening. They're really thick, heavy wood doors. It opened, it closed. I don't know how they opened it. The door were locked. The doors, both front and back. Door slammed, heavy boots hitting the floor, which we're in the basement. We all ran up, and to look, the door were sealed, nothing. However, all of us were smelling thick cigar smoke. I mean, no one allowed smoking in there. No one smoked anything. We weren't cigarettes and all of that. No one carried that, and it was tobacco smell. But we did not see the smoke. We smelled it. It was heavy and thick. The same place, a portrait in the wine tasting hall. We were all there talking, and the portrait did not just fall down. It was like it was lifted up and dropped. And it was on a real small, skinny little coffee table type thing. It should have dropped, slipped, hit the ground, and shattered. It did. It just fell, and then it almost like it was balancing itself on the edge of the table. So that was really strange. The thing is, when these things occurs, we don't scream, shout, or freak out. We just kind of look at each other and say, "Did you just see that?" And then, of course, while we do we play the videos and recordings, we hear voices, children laughing, whispers. One time on the third floor, the upper floor, the radio, something turned on the radio full blast. It was in between stations. Statics, we could hear the music from both stations, and it was loud. Who knows what turned? We went up and turned that off. And that kind of made my heart race a little bit. Another event, I got to remember, there's so many things in there. Oh my goodness. Okay, I just drew a blank, sorry.
No, I'm just thinking, didn't you feel, weren't you sick? Didn't something happen where you...
Yes, I'm sorry. And one day we were doing an investigation, I had the camera going, and all of a sudden I felt almost like something, the wind blow, but the wind was cold, but it almost felt like it went through me. And I felt disoriented, and I said, I got to lay down a little bit. And I did lay down. I had to sit down on the floor. And since then, I didn't feel right. And it's almost like, I don't know too much about panic attacks, but since every once in a while, my heart, it's almost like, I felt like a hand that went pierce through my chest, invisible hand, and it would squeeze my heart, and it will stop beating, and then it would release it real quick, and then my heart would catch up and try to pump the blood through my system, and it would pump, and then I feel like I'm going to faint. And I guess, what's going on? And it goes away, and it comes back about an hour later. And one time it kept going and going. So I better drive myself to the hospital. I don't know what's going on. I went to the hospital. They put me on the bed. They put all sorts of sticky probes on me and the heartbeat machine. And, of course, they didn't find anything. So I said, okay, it's time for me to cleanse myself from this. As I walk away and stay away from the places, because I believe that, you mentioned before, playing with Ouija boards is like Russian roulette, or trying to contact the spirits. You don't know what you're going to have or come in or follow you home, if you will. So there is a lot of dangerous things that can occur with you spiritually, physically, and mentally. So I did finally get rid of the whatever that was causing my heart to cause my whole body to almost shut down and faint. So I got rid of that.
That is good. And then when you were seen by medical professionals who said there was nothing wrong with you. So that is it's frightening that something could have that sort of effect on you, that you had no tangible evidence of what it was.
You're right. And I mean, we have a lot of wonderful medical equipment out there that can scan and probe and CAT scan and all of that. And there's something inside of you that's invisible. Who knows what it is or how it gets there? You can demonic possessions to who knows what. I don't think equipment can detect it. Now, it can manifest itself through you and utilize your body, and then you start screaming in different languages, and that's the worst case scenario. But possessions, I believe in possessions. It does occur, and it takes a lot of special help.
Yes.
Through the church or a priest or a pastor or whatnot to come in and do their thing to get rid of that thing. And I'm glad I did get rid of mine and whatever that was. But that's probably one of the reasons why I kind of lean towards doing, I don't know if you want to call it safer, but doing UFO research, and it seems a little safer. I mean, I have not been in witness or been in contact with any entities or aliens yet, but since then, I have not suffered through these attacks, if you will. But I still like to go and join teams and then kind of guide them to trying to, you know what, let's try not to do that. Stay away from that method and try something else. And they have their own belief system, their own training, and I'm not there to force anyone or say my method is right, your method is wrong. But being raised as a Christian, I'm not into religion that much. I am into reading the Bible, ancient writings of the Bible and all. And there's a lot of things that could be followed and utilized to help to get rid of these things. And I believe that's what made me get rid of it. So,
isn't that, I mean, it's interesting to me because I've talked to people that have researched, you know, or dealt with kind of the abduction phenomena, and they have said that they've either had witnesses or themselves who have called on Christ in this time, and whatever it was just disappeared, which is very interesting to me.
I read a lot about that, and again, my belief system, I believe it does work. But the thing is, it's funny that you mentioned that we're almost sitting on the fence right now from ghosts, paranormal to ufology, that the stories that I've read, or a lot of people read, that it's usually when you have these visitations in the middle of the night, you'll have a person in bed and they're either paralyzed, they cannot do anything, but their eyes are wide open. They see this thing in the room. And I mean, I could describe it as a ghost.
An incubus or a succubus?
Exactly.
Yes.
Something that looks like a demon.
Exactly.
Shadow.
And you know, I've got it. This is really, really good. We're getting ready to go to break, and I hate to cut you off right there, but this leads us down on a whole nother path, and I think this is all interrelated and very important to talk about the connections. So I'm excited to talk about this, and we are going to talk about your cool cases and orange orbs, all that fun stuff. I am Erica Lukes. Again, everybody, thanks for listening to me. I know that you are tuning in from all over the world. Make sure you find me on Facebook at UFO Classified, my website, ufoclassified.com, and we'll see you in a moment.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at ufoclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Bledsoe was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
And welcome back, everybody. I am happy to be here on Fantopia Friday. You have got Tina Marie coming up after my show on Restricted Airspace, and then the fabulous Solaris Blue Raven on Hyperspace. So grab the martini, get the flannel jammies on, and stick around because it's going to be a great Friday night on KCOR. My guest this evening on UFO Classified is a veteran researcher, not only in the UFO field, but also in paranormal studies and just everything that relates to what we're studying. I love it. Norm Gagnon has been on TV shows. He has written in MUFON journals numerous times, and I love his writing. He's had cases that are exceptional, and one that we are going to be talking about here in a little teeny bit. But first, when we left off, we were talking about kind of the more paranormal aspects and how we need to really protect ourselves with regards to researching not only the paranormal, but I believe also when you're researching the kind of UFO thing, we're just dealing with something that's very, very different. And Norm, how do you feel? You were saying that you didn't think it was you didn't have the need to protect yourself as much now that you're studying UFOs?
Well, protection, the most in all of my cases within the UFO related is usually involves either some type of light, an orb, a craft, or someone seeing something come and gone. Very rarely that they land. And so it's mostly, which is rather safe, is to interview, talk to these people, and get as much information as possible. And if there is a near landing or there is anything that would affect the surrounding, like trees. I'll give you an example. One case that some diamond-shaped craft that would hovered above trees, and I investigated, and the leaves and foliage all wilted and burnt. But anyway, it's safe because I'm not actually in the middle of the desert looking at a craft and I'm trying to take some measurements with my little equipment while my skin burns into a crisp. So that
Right.
in that aspect, it's safer. Yes.
Do you think, though, spiritually, that it is? Because for me, I mean, I've talked to other researchers that feel that you have to protect yourself, I think, kind of spiritually, emotionally, on all fronts, because, again, we just don't know what we're dealing with.
You're right. Protection. Back in the 80s, there was a lot of, they were ghost chasers, I think they would call themselves in that time, and usually the methodology of prior to going into a building, they would pray to the spirits to allow them passage. And for me, that does not sound right at all because of my faith. Again, religion and the kumbayas and praise the Lord, that stuff bothers me. Even religious people bothers me. I am a Christian. I go directly to the source, the book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But, and I recall one TV show, a guy who was inside of a home or a house. He was very active. And he would scream out, "In the name of Jesus, please reveal yourself." And I really doubt that he was a Christian or religious, or you got to be careful using the name of the Lord and asking, because in the name of the Lord, for a person who doesn't believe, who knows what would appear. It could be a demonic entity that would appear as an angel, or a bright, beautiful being of light, and then you'll get burned to a crisp. So, like I said, I'm not an expert, but you got to be careful. If you don't know too much about what's going on in the religious aspect of realm, don't start using names or people or pretending you know that you know what you're doing. That could backfire in a bad way.
Absolutely. And, we were talking about the incubus and succubus and all of these things, and it is interesting how throughout our time, I mean, recorded history, we've had different names, terminologies for this. Basically, I would think the same type of thing.
You mentioned incubus and all of that. If you do Google or research, usually there's always like these sketches of this crawling-looking demonic creature with horns, with hoofs, and always on top of a naked woman in a bed. It's always. Now, if you think about it, now these entities are supposed to be the far advanced, extremely intelligent. They're here to give you the cure to cancer and give you multivitamins and sing songs for you. But they always come in the middle of the night, scaring the hell out of people, freezing the people in bed. And they come in all different shapes and sizes, from shadows to aliens to insects. For me, I don't think that's a very good person or creature that would appear and basically, and a lot of times, they would telepathically communicate with you. And in different countries, would have different creatures appear almost based on your belief system. One case, I don't recall, it would have maybe a decade ago, there was a chupacabra creature on top of a barn that would communicate with a woman telepathically, and she would understand what that person was saying. And then same thing with these entities that appear in the middle of the night. And usually they leave afterwards, or hopefully if you don't pass out, if you pass out, then you wake up the next day, or then who knows, with cuts and bruises and scratches. But they always leave, either disappear, they walk through a wall, they levitate, they go through a ceiling, and they all basically have the same capability, supernatural capability to doing things. And it's hard for us researchers to decipher, so what is it? Was that a demon? Was that a creature? And then people who's really stuck in on the UFO and has researcher, and that was an alien. I said, okay, fine. Yeah. And even with orbs, I'll tell people that story when I meet people trying to describe what I do. You have a UFO searcher on one side, looking in the sky, and you see this bright orb floating about 200 feet up above the ground, and everybody's like, "Ooh, it's an alien trying to communicate with us." And then that orb will fly across, go down to ground level into a graveyard. On the other side of the town, there's ghost hunters. And he goes, look, it's a spirit of the dead. It's trying to communicate with us. And then sometimes they do communicate. If you're trying to use your flashlight on it or something, it would blink and then shoot across the sky. So that is probably why I cross all over the spectrum of paranormal or supernatural, because orbs it seemed to be one thing that crosses over all of these fields.
Yes, I agree, and that's I've always tried to say that we need to define orb a little bit more for people, because people do have this idea that it's just a ghost. It's something that is taking place in your bedroom, but it's not. It's something that you can see in your bedroom, above your house, 2 miles away. It's a really fascinating thing, and I honestly don't know, where to begin with this, because they seem from reports to be intelligent beings, where you could have a picture, or you could have an orb, and a living entity would come out of the orb. Or then you get people that are seeing these with regards to cattle mutilations, and the orbs are very cold and robotical, almost like a probe. And so, I am just scratching my head, and I want to know everything I can about them.
It's interesting that what you just said, that for all these years of study, orbs seems to be almost an energy intelligent energy that would just float around waiting for someone to almost point it at it, and then try to have some type of psychic communication between the observer and the entity. And then they would, no matter what part of the world you live in, they would transform itself into whatever you believe. It could be, now this is my own view, the Virgin Mary, Santa Maria in South America, that would appear and it would say some words of wisdom, no matter what language. They speak all sorts of language, and then it will show up as a triangle craft over Washington, D.C., and then in Canada it would be some type of, who knows, Sasquatch creature or something. Of course, he would use some type of telepathic to, hey, I'm here to whatever. So it's almost like but like I said, it's almost waiting. It's a wish waiting for, say, hey, I kind of wish that this thing would become some type of entity that would guide me through my journey through the world. And next thing you know, there's a being that would appear. He goes, just follow this path, make a left at a McDonald's, and then you'll see what you'll find the pot of gold. Or even the leprechauns in Ireland, these small type creatures are being still seen today.
Yes,
but there is a connection. What it is, I don't know.
But it almost has, I mean, it does have the ability to pull things out of the kind of the dark recesses of our mind and then kind of manifest according to what we have going on in our subconscious. And that's a really unnerving thing.
Subconscious manifestation. That's really good. I like that. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you. But yeah,
okay, you're welcome.
Well, but it's interesting because when you look at, I always look at Skinwalker Ranch and that whole area and the research that was done there, and I mean, that type of thing happened. It was this game playing, whatever these entities, objects were. It was like this cat and mouse game.
It's the skinwalkers. That's a native Indian or type belief system, and if I'm not mistaken, and it seems like it could manifest itself into any form, to a crow, to a wolf, to all sorts of forms and shapes, built again based on their belief system. So.
And it's interesting because up at Skinwalker Ranch, you have, this is kind of a hot spot like we see all over the world in specific areas where you have Bigfoot. You have Bigfoots, you've got these strange creatures, you've got UFOs, paranormal. It's just this big kind of a cesspool of all of these things. And it is disturbing. In fact, I don't know if I've ever heard of a good story up there, really happy, feel good, like, oh, I'm communicating with something and this is great. It's always been very disconcerting.
Is there some type of vortex? I haven't fully researched on that, but I heard a lot about the ranch. Is there some type of vortex there that these things could go in and out anytime they want? Or I know there's a lot of orbs and globes or something that comes out of that. I don't.
You know what? There are, and I'm not sure if Skinwalker Ranch is really the central location. It certainly probably was the big hubbub of activity 20 years ago, but that whole the Uinta Basin has just been, it is had for centuries, this type of activity. So there has to be some sort of vortex. There's something going on there where you can have all of these different types of phenomena manifest. And it's a very kind of a closed, these are good, hardworking people that don't really talk about this a lot. So it's hard to collect data and to do investigations. And I think after the whole Bigelow stuff with the Skinwalker Ranch, it's that was a hard thing for their community.
Yeah. You know what? I do have a UFO-related case that involves a vortex. If I may share that with you, I
would love that. Yes.
This particular case, let's see, it happened in 2014 during the 4th of July, and this in Danville, Virginia. I received was getting given a case, and I contacted this person. I'll call her Lily. They were enjoying the usual 4th of July fireworks at the area field, and they once the show was over, they jumped into their car and they drove home. And then once they got in, the husband went to one area and she went into her living room. There's a huge bay window there, and all of a sudden she looks up and saw this. I mean, it was a classic flying saucer shot from left to right, right above the house. And she goes, wow, what was that? And she walked closer to the window, pushed the curtain aside, and looked to the left. And she saw some type of, it's almost like if you look inside of from a satellite view, inside of a hurricane's eye, it was a dark vortex cloud moving around counterclockwise. And the center was dark, but there was almost like a little burst of lights within its center, and the center kind of opened up a little bit. And all of a sudden, like a couple more flying saucers shot out of there. It went right above her head. And she like, whoa! She wanted to get her husband. They came back, and the whole thing enclosed and disappeared. So that case really, really blew my mind. And even though it's really out there, it makes a lot of sense that there is a lot of researchers out there believe in the interdimensional travelers. And that makes sense for me to have these crafts come through our dimension, time, and space through a vortex. It would close real quick in that shot, because a lot of times these things are even being photographed, videotape in the sky that would shoot across and then disappear.
Yes.
People say, oh, it was a warp drive, or maybe they just went through the hole.
Exactly.
A wormhole. So that case was really awesome. I really enjoyed that.
Oh,
and
that is a great case.
Yeah.
You know, I have a question from before we go to break. We've got Troy, who is on Twitter. He's from Florida, and he wants to know what the scariest place you have ever investigated was and why.
Okay. Right now, or are we going to a commercial?
No, you know what? We've got about 3 more minutes, so just you can give us the brief version.
My goodness, my God. Okay, now Let Castle in Ireland. We went there way back in 2006, and there was a Ghost Hunters International. They did an episode in the sci-fi series with Barry Fitzgerald. That place we visited with my Ghost Hunters associates prior to the TV show. That was a year prior to the TV series. We joined Barry Fitzgerald, and we stayed in one castle, but we visited multiple sites, castles, and an abbey. And that place was just driving up there and getting out of the car. Actually, it was a van. The castle itself was dark and very, very scary. And we probably, in our minds, that castle has to be the most haunted place in Ireland. So that was scary. We investigated, and I really don't want to go back to that place. It was something that, I don't know, maybe we played, or our imagination took over, but we didn't get anything on our devices, but it was pretty terrifying.
Well, and I think the spiral staircase going up to the Bloody Chapel, which kind of threw me off when I was there, because I would think the chapel would be on the main floor, but no, you've got to go around this really, ancient spiral staircase, and then you get there, and then there's the oubliette where they used to throw people, and I've still got some pictures. That place was I was so excited I was there.
And they kept their lights low, too, or even they turned off the lights, so I guess that didn't help.
See, I was there during the day, and I don't know if Sean Ryan was the owner of the place, because it's a private residence.
Sean.
Yeah, oh my gosh, he was we had so much fun, and he was, we ended up calling a fellow from down the road, and we jammed because he's a musician, I'm a musician.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so we were singing Moon Dance by the fire, and so it was not a scary experience like yours. I need to go there at night.
Go. You first.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
That was it was a cool experience. I will never forget going to Lepp Castle, and it sounds like you won't either. That is crazy.
Yeah, Bear Fisher was an awesome guide. He took us everywhere, and wonderful restaurants. Of course, he ended up drinking Budweiser, and I ended up drinking Guinness. So
that's a good thing.
American.
The Guinness over there is off the hook, I have to say. Oh my gosh. I love it, but we're getting ready to go to break. So Erica Lukes here on UFO Classified, and we will be back for our last segment. See you on the other side.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
3 guys, no tie.
But that doesn't mean
everybody
you're
has
win.
a bad day, but I mean
that's very rare that you get 2 people that are that are 2 of the best in the league. I mean, you got 2 of the top 5 people on your team. And if they both have bad days, you got no chance.
They're syncing up. They're on the same cycle.
I know. I was going to say, yeah, they get their monthly friend at the same time.
Bitches.
But anyway,
wow. 3 guys, no ties. Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific, right here on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. We take the KCOR Digital Radio Network off the grid and go deep inside the paranormal vault. Jump on the elevator and come take the ride down the rabbit hole of reality with BK Mojave and the Watcher as they unlock the vault and dust off some of their classified paranormal case files even the government doesn't know about. The Paranormal Vault. Mondays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. This is the one show our secret government fears will speak the truth.
Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about, at least not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light. Into hyperspace. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific.
For Hyperspace.
The one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven.
Solaris Blue Raven.
Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Want to take a ride?
This is the world-famous KCOR.
That's the only station I listen to.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts!
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Oh, I can't believe that my show is almost over. We've got one more half-hour segment, and I'm having a great time tonight. Thanks all of you for listening and for finding me on Facebook, getting into chat. Make sure you call if you've got a question. I want to tell you about my show next Friday, same time, same place. I will be talking with Steve Murillo from MUFON LA. He has lots of experiences. Steve is a great guy. I'll be looking forward to that. And then the next couple months, I am booked out and I have amazing shows coming up. I feel very fortunate to get to hang out with all of you and talk to brilliant people that have a lot of knowledge to share with us. Speaking of that, we are talking about UFOs, ghosts, and now we're going to be talking about airplanes with my guest tonight. Norm is an investigator who's been researching ghosts and UFOs, oh my gosh, since 1986. I can't even believe that. That is so cool. He was appointed as a special agent for the STAR team through Bigelow Aerospace, and he investigated a great case on UFOs over Earth, but for MUFON, the Fayetteville incident. And that is a very cool case. So Norm, welcome back.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes, and we're going to have to share some pictures of our time at Lepp Castle.
Pictures? Sure. I have to look for the file.
I know you've got to look for it because I'm thinking mine was a little happier than than your experience.
That's true.
Oh, that's so cool. What a great thing. But you have a couple cases. Well, you've got actually a lot of great cases that you've researched, but one was of particular interest to me because of the aviation thing, especially with my new pilot sighting that I've been working on. But you had a case where an orb actually was interacting with an airplane. It was a very precarious situation. So tell us about that case.
Sure. This particular case was, it was one of the top 10 MUFON UFO cases in 2012 that was released by the Science Review Board, the SRB. And a little bit more about the case. I'll give you a case number for anyone who likes to look it up. It's case 36293. There was a father and son. They both were pilots, and they were flying a single engine Mooney Aviation 2 plane from North Carolina, and they were flying towards Richmond Airport and crossing over into the state of Virginia. And just to give you a little bit of detail on the type of plane, if some of the pilots out there may know what I'm talking about, it's called the Instrument Flight Rules, the IFR, and the speed was 188 knots at an altitude of 7,480 feet. And right about 15 minutes after they flew in Virginia, they're just about to land, and all of a sudden they look over their right and you see this orb coming towards them, and it flew extremely fast. It flew, stopped almost instantly, about 50 feet away from the plane, and then they both looked at it, and they were frozen, and all of a sudden all the instruments on the cockpit went out. It shut down, and then nothing worked, and then the engines started to, the term is sputter. And the engine felt like it was shutting down. And these guys saw it and said, what the heck is going on over here? And looking over this thing, and this thing, it was huge. And the younger guy, his name is John, he could actually see almost inside of this orb. It was orange, bright. It's almost like a soup of electronic things moving around in there. And then, as fast as this thing showed up into their airspace, it shot right out. It's almost like it knew that they were in trouble. And fortunately, the engine and all the cockpit, the lights and compass and everything came back on. They got control of the plane, and then they landed safely, and then they checked the plane out. But that really, really scared them. And the father, they both were in the military. The father refused to talk about this incident, but this John did contact me. He gave me a lot of information about, a little bit more information about what occurred, and it physically almost killed the engine of the plane. So these things, I believe, can be rather dangerous. There's not too many people. There are a lot of people seen these orbs in the sky while in flight. I may have another case for you to share, but they have one been so close in the plane and almost knocking it down or losing control and crash. But they were very fortunate. They well, not only they survived, but to contact us and share their story with and the details of the story. So,
well, I have to say that it's really great that they could contact you, because you take the time to communicate with people, and it's not like, I mean, you put in all of your effort. And I think sometimes you get, people that aren't necessarily, don't have kind of the skills to communicate with people that have been through traumatic events. And there's a lot more that goes into investigating, besides taking down facts and checking, radar data and all of this stuff. There's that interpersonal skill. So it's really great that they had you to investigate.
It's a good investigator. They have to take the time to listen, not just to hear. So, and there's a lot involved, and there's a human nature and aspect that you cannot just go in and, like a robot, ask a whole bunch of questions and then leave. You've got to relate to what they went through, and there's a lot of stuff out there that it scares people, and a lot of them are willing to share, and it helps us to try to figure out what they are and why they're doing this. But this orb, a real quick story also, there's also also in 2012, there was a jetliner full of people getting ready to land in Richmond. And they were a few thousand feet above the ground, and they were going down to land, and this lady was looking outside her window, looking down, and saw a series of maybe 12, 15 orbs, serpentine, dancing around above the clouds below her. And they were like in a wave, and all of a sudden it shot straight up right next to the plane. And a lot of people saw that. They saw this thing whizzing by, going straight up to the sky. So it did not cause any instrument or the plane to, how should I say, damage or lose control. But she thought it was one of the most fascinating things. She never saw anything like that. But they're not too shy where they fly. I mean, even this whole area, we have two major airports. We have Dulles Airport and Ronald Reagan and International, and people are seeing orbs all the time. And I'm sure that if you contact the towers, they're not going to say, "Oh yeah, sure, Norm, I'll give you all the information you want." They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. So.
Isn't that interesting? Because, with the case that, I'm working on right now, and my friend Jeff Cox and William Puckett, I mean, this was such a fluke, but I really believe, we've got 2 cases now that we're looking at where you've got a pilot communicating with the approach tower. They're talking about something and asking if it's on radar and talking about how very, what an anomalous thing this is. And you wonder how many times that happens that you never hear about. And I think it happens much more frequently than we even know. And it's too bad that they don't feel safe to report things so we can have data, or they don't, I think the FAA, it would be nice if the FAA could really implement some good safety procedures with regards to pilots.
The thing is that there may be so many sightings that involve these types of orbs, and they really don't have the time to sit there and start making sketches and take notes and making phone calls. They're there to land airplanes safely. So I really don't blame them to say, I don't want to deal with this. If I start answering phone calls, you'll have like 20 people coming in my door knocking and trying to get in the booth to get an explanation. Of course, the news, they're going to have a field day trying to interview the folks in the towers, and they're going to turn around and start playing a Star Trek team and the silly little X-Files. And hey, this guy saw an airplane, a UFO, ha ha ha. And I know how to ridicule folks like that. So maybe it's best for them not to just zip it up and move along and just do their jobs. But going back to the father and son incident, just recently I sent him a letter because I lost track of John. His emails, they don't work anymore, and I think it could be a good reason why, because this case attracted a lot of people, and then a lot of people like to jump in and make phone calls, and then they probably pull the plug on that. But I wrote him a nice letter, and hopefully the father will be willing to share some more. And hopefully if he writes back, I will give you a call.
Oh, that would be great. That would be good. What do you feel, because we've got a few more minutes left, what do you feel right now the biggest hindrances in our field are?
My goodness. For me, it would be nice if anyone with the close encounters of the third and fourth, and if they could contact us, anyone, the sooner the better. Because having a case come in 10 years later, it doesn't do much. I mean, you get a lot of great information, but I'm interested also being a Starfield investigator that I want to pick up some trace evidence, soil samples to something that could physically touch, well, not physically touch with gloves or proper equipment, but having the stuff to send back to headquarters and then have something you keep, analyze, and say, hey, wait a minute, there's a lot of radiation here, or there's some substance or metallic residue that we never seen before. So time is could hinder an investigation, and also there's also this inner competition, and people out there say, there's a good case going on, that person should not have that case, I'm going to go in and try to take over or push this person. This is little infantile little things like that. Say, I'm taking over the case because I'm the leader. That defeats, if you work as a team. I mean, like I said before when we were on the commercial break, that I don't mind working with other agencies out there, NORCAP to other researchers. I'm just give me a call or give me an email. I'd be willing to share and my investigation and even hear other people's. But it seems to be there's a lot of competition out there for some strange reason. But I mean, there's no money involved.
No, it's all about the ego. And I think
Ego.
that's the unfortunate thing, because it's like, in my opinion, I've seen my fair share of ego, and there's no place for it. I want to work in an environment where there's ethics, there's integrity, where we can all share stuff and make a big difference, a huge contribution to this. And there's, when you've got people fighting over stuff and not giving people credit and behaving like 2-year-olds, it really doesn't. No wonder people don't take this seriously.
Well, that's unfortunate, but that's for me. I mean, I don't have to. I'm very busy with all the what's going on around me with my work, full-time work, and then with volunteer for MUFON. So we'll probably need more field investigators here in this area.
And
but
you work with Ben and Tony, right?
Oh yeah, Ben Moss and Tony Angiola. Great guys to work with. We are so busy that they usually go to one side, I go to the other. They were also the co-stars for the Hangar One TV series, and they're working on also the Florida MUFON Symposium. They have a showcase and a case they're working on right now. Also, I will be helping them with graphics. But yeah, great guys. I mean, we just have a couple female researchers as well. They really come in handy, especially when there's another female that's involved in a unusual sighting. It's nice to have a female agent to interview that person. But everywhere, we probably need more serious investigators, no matter what agency you decide to volunteer for.
We do. And I think that the one thing I will say is I'm really impressed with the fact that MUFON is stepping up the game, and now Ken St. John is taking over the education, and they're doing some great things. And we were happy with the Project Orange that they're actually going to be implementing some of the findings about orange orbs to, hopefully educate field investigators. So there's some cool things happening in that regard.
Is there a book involved, if I may ask? Project Orange?
Well, there very well might be.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering.
I would love, that is my plan. I've been putting together different chapters and ideas, and there's so many places to go with this. You could look at it from a historical perspective, look at it from the current day research. There's so many fascinating areas, hot spots. And so I will definitely be doing something. And I am speaking in a couple UFO conferences. StarWorks Symposium is coming up, and I will be talking about Project Orange and the work that we've been doing on that. So that'll be really fun.
Yeah, some people even say that orbs may be the cause of crop circles, which is pretty interesting. But who knows? There's that crisscrossing over.
I think there is, but I will tell you, I'm going over to England, and I'm going to be hanging out at some crop circles and see what I can find. And I really think, it sounds like there is a connection. What it is, I don't know, but I am excited to find out. It'll be cool. But what, just in our last few minutes, what do you feel, your intuition, what is your intuition telling you about what's taking place?
Oh, wow. Why? You know what? These aerial phenomenon has been occurring since the beginning of time. So either they're gonna have to sooner or later have to stop fooling around with us, land, and tell us what the heck you want from us. But maybe it's just a big tease, because they seem to enjoy people focusing on them, or almost ended up, if I dare say, worship these things while something else is going on behind you. So who knows? I've been working in this field for a long, long time, and a lot of people have been at it for a long time, man. people are still scratching their heads. So why are they doing this? So I don't think I have a good answer for that. But it keeps everyone on their toes, and we're still gathering information. And maybe, sometimes these things can be dangerous to us, no matter what form they are in. So,
yes, I think it is incredibly important to have respect. And I sometimes wonder, I think that we need to be very cautious, is what I'm trying to say. So that is, and with that said, I know that you had a quote that you wanted to read, which I want to hear.
Okay. I'm going to read a quote, recite a quote from Jacques Vallée in his native tongue, and then I'll give you a translation. Here it goes. Les êtres humains sont sous le contrôle d'une force étrange qui les plie de manière absurde, les forçant à jouer un rôle dans un jeu bizarre de tromperie. Now, what Jacques Vallée, I kind of really like his research. It's basically what he's saying here is that there's a lot of strange anomalies and aerial phenomena that have been floating around for a long, long time, and it's messing with people's minds, and it's still occurring today. And he's still scratching his head. I said, man, I wish I knew what's going on. But we're still learning. And they may most likely be up to no good. We covered that earlier during the interview. So we've got to be very careful and be aware of your surroundings, because there may be something else going on behind you while these things are floating in front of you.
And that is great. It's just a perfect way to end the show. How can people find you and connect with you and share their stories?
My email is search.investigator@gmail.com. So search is SEARCH. And that used to be a team that I developed back in 2001. SEARCH is an acronym for Supernatural Entity Anomaly Research and Cryptid Honors. So I pretty much cover the whole basis, but they can email, and I'll answer whatever questions you want, and to assist if I can, and provide information.
Oh, that is so, I knew this was going to be a great show, and I'm happy that we finally connected, and I look forward to working with you and sharing cases. Thank you very, very much. And I want to say thank you to everybody who is out there listening. Please make sure you reach out to us and share your experiences. File reports, send them to Norm or myself. It is incredibly important for what we're doing. Next week, I want to say that Steve Marilla will be here, and we're going to be talking all about, we've got lots of good stuff that we're talking about. Find me on Facebook, and please make sure that you stick around for Restricted Airspace, because tonight Tina is going to be talking to Dave Hodron from the Birmingham UFO Group, and that will be really cool because we were just talking about crop circles, so there you go. I'm going to be sticking around for that. Erica Luke's UFO Classified, please message me with any suggestions for guests coming up. Remember to, always do your research. Don't believe everything you read on Facebook. I know that's shocking, but they're brilliant, beautiful, frightening things out there for all of us to discover. And we need to keep an open mind, and we need to be smart and safe. So I'm Erica Lukes, and we were definitely going to catch you next Friday. Have a safe weekend.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at ufoclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the digital radio.